Welcome to the Dating After Divorce podcast. I'm your host, Shade Curry, and I believe every divorced woman deserves a romantic relationship where she feels safe, loved, and cherished. You can create the most amazing life after divorce, and I will teach you how. To the Dating After Divorce podcast. I'm your host, Shade Curry. I am a dating coach for divorced women. And today I am completing the series of 3 episodes about time. So first we talked about your thoughts about your age and the fact that you are dating after divorce, probably in midlife when you didn't expect to be dating. We had another episode 220, about dating people and the age that they are when you date them. So whether you have thoughts around dating older men, or you have thoughts around dating younger men, or everything in between. We talked about that in the last episode. And then today I want to just address time itself. So I hear the phrase, dating is a waste of time, or dating apps are a waste of time, or in a particular scenario when dating, women will say things like, I don't want to waste my time. And that is like the reason they don't want to do one thing or the other, or their justification for making a decision when dating. And I've coached a lot on it, but I've never done a podcast episode on it because it's a little bit of a chunky topic, because even outside of dating, our relationship with time can be very complicated. You know, time is this imaginary, arbitrary thing that is created so that we can figure out how to connect with each other in space and time. But it becomes this thing that it controls our lives. The fear of time running out, the thought of our own mortality, the feeling that there's just not enough time can really create a way of thinking that is counterproductive. So I thought, I don't know how deep I'm going to be able to get into it today, but I do want to address it because I think that's going to be helpful for you, especially for those of you who have set dating as a goal for 2025. You're like, this is the year, I'm going to invest time in it. So this will be very helpful for you in thinking about how to go about that goal. I do want to say that this really will only help people who want to date. Like, it's only going to help you if you actually want to meet a partner. I put a lot of material out on social media, and I will have people who will come on my social media and comment that I'll put something out encouraging about dating, and then they'll comment and they'll be like, well, I've given up on dating because it's just a waste of time, or the dating apps are a waste of time. And I'm always like, well, it's interesting that you're following a dating coach and taking the time to comment that you've given up on dating and that dating is a waste of time on a dating coach's posts. Like, you should probably rethink how you're using your time if you really don't want a partner. So I want us to we're just going to really, delve into that today. I want to help you think of time as something that you invest, rather than something that you waste, so that you can be more conscious about it. Just in the same way that people can be like, well, there's this old saying, I know I'm dating myself now. You can be penny wise and pound foolish. Some people will put in so much effort to like clip coupons, save 50 cents on, a meal at a restaurant, or they'll drive out of their way to get a deal. But the effort and the energy and the gas that they spend getting that 50-cent deal is like $5. So that's what they mean by penny wise, pound foolish. And I think that happens in the same way when we're dating. Right? We invest so much time in things that actually don't help the goal. And we think that investing time in things that will help us get the partner are a waste of time. And so the societal narrative really makes that a deal for a lot of people. So I want to talk about that. We're going to get into that. But I do want to say, if you are not really committed to getting a partner, then my arguments and my evidence for investing time in dating may not land with you. So that's just something to think about. Like, if as we go through it, if you feel like, I'm just not buying any of it, then consider whether or not you really want to date, because dating is not something you have to do. Like, there's so many things we can do, right? So many things you can spend your time doing. You can create this whole extraordinary life that doesn't have to include a partner, right? And I just want you to consider that if you are having a lot of internal conflict around time, you may have to go back to your why. Why am I considering dating? Why am I considering getting a partner? And make a decision about whether or not that is something you really want or something that you're just doing because society says you should do it. All right. So I'm going to start by talking about when is a dating activity actually a waste of time? Because I'm not saying there are not things that are wastes of time. There are things that are wastes of time, but they're not always what we think. So I'm just going to mention a few. Like I said, if you are dating and you don't have a strong why and you are dating because women are supposed to date, or you're supposed to have a partner, or people are shaming you for not having a partner, or people are putting pressure on you, your partner, your family is putting pressure on you to date, or you're being judged or being criticized for not having a partner, then dating is a waste of time because you don't really want a partner. So any effort you put in, you're going to sabotage it. Your brain is going to be like, we don't want this thing. So we're just going to like go through the motions, and going through the motions is always a waste of time. I'm going to say, go get that PhD, go travel the world, go write your book, go start your business, go do all the other things that you would rather be doing if you don't really want a partner. Now, when you're dating, if you meet someone who says, hey, I don't want children, or I don't want marriage, or they clearly tell you with their words, or in their profile, they write, I don't want monogamy, or they have clearly used words to tell you that they don't want a thing. It is a waste of time to date that person. Now, sometimes we assume people have said something, or we assume that people don't want something. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if someone has showed you clearly who they are, like you have evidence, it is a waste of time to keep moving forward with a person who isn't what you're looking for. And I want to do all these first because I don't want anyone to use this conversation about time against themselves or to sabotage themselves, right? So if a guy says, hey, I'm really not dating, I don't want to date someone who already has children, and you have children, don't try to convince that person that they are right for you. Now, the other thing that is a waste of time is trying to convince someone who shows no interest that you would be good together, trying to get them to date you. That cute guy at church, that cute coworker who is polite but doesn't like come around to you, but your hands touched at the printer the other day and you felt an electric buzz, and so you've been stalking him on social media ever since, and you really think, if I could just show him how amazing I am. No, fantasy relationships are a waste of time. Passive dating is another waste of time, right? So if you are on the apps and you're just texting with people back and forth, just being a pen pal, or you're just waiting for someone to do all of the work or to choose you, that is a waste of time. And I'm going to do some podcast episodes on that in the future. But yeah, anything that involves not like an unconscious, unintentional, I'm just kind of sitting here waiting for it to happen, that's always a waste of time because it's taking up time and energy in your mind, but there are no actions that are going to create the result. And then the last thing that I consider a real waste of time is if you're dating actively, you're taking action, but you keep repeating the same mistakes over and over. You're not learning and growing and changing and tweaking. Like you're not on a path to say, okay, I want to date and meet someone. I did this didn't work. I'm going to change that. I'm going to do it better this time. You're not in a process that helps you grow as you date, then you're going to spin your wheels. It's going to be the definition of insanity, like doing the same thing over and over and over again and hoping for a different result. So just think about those things are clearly wastes of time. And the reason they're wastes of time is not because dating itself is a waste of time, but because they don't get you to your goal. So anything that doesn't get you to your goal of meeting a compatible partner, a healthy partner, a safe partner is going to be a waste of time. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, there are some things that are a waste of time. Let's talk about ways that we think about dating being a waste of time that are truly not a waste of time, that are areas where you should invest time if you want to get the result. So if you are in any of these scenarios, you are the person that I'm talking to today. You think you don't have time to date. You're too busy. You feel like there's just too much to get done. There's too much work to get done. I haven't gotten my house together. I haven't gotten things together. I just never have enough time for things. You have that thought and you look at your life and it seems to have evidence that you don't have time to date, but you want a partner. Then I'm going to help you today. If you are someone who, tends to swipe left on anyone that you're not like 99% sure is going to be the one, and you tell yourself, well, I don't want to swipe right on them because I don't want to waste my time going on a date with someone who's not the one, then this is for you because that's going to waste your time as well. It's kind of like in business because we have areas in our lives where we don't have these self-sabotaging behaviors. In business, right? If you're in sales or something to do with sales or at work or, we're always selling. Like even if you're working in the corporate world, I used to be an IT business analyst, and part of my work was to, in a sense, sell the project on the people who were working the project. Like it was literally these people's jobs to get these things done. But every day I still had to get up and be like, hey, how you doing? Where are you at with that thing? No, this is, basically motivate them to get the work done. I had to reach out and ask them, hey, where are you having a problem? How can I help you fix the problem? How can I help you close the gap? Even though it was their job to do it, right? I had to sell them on moving the project forward every single day. So sales, in your corporate job, in dating, there are actions we have to take, but we often don't want to take those actions because we're afraid of wasting other people's time. We're afraid of, quote unquote, bothering other people and wasting their time or making them upset. Like if you're a salesperson and you don't want to interrupt someone's day with your sales call, you're afraid of taking action because they'll be upset because you're wasting their time. You're not serving that person. You're not serving the person you're supposed to serve with your product. You're not building relationships. You're not building connections. So the same way, if you are not taking the actions you need to take when you're dating because you're afraid of wasting other people's time or wasting your time, then you are not in service of yourself in getting the result that you want, and you're not in service of the other person who is looking for you. Your guy is looking for you. Do you wonder exactly how divorced women just like you are meeting eligible men who want a real relationship and a commitment? They're doing it by dating with their core values. Your core values are the GPS that lead you to the partner you've been looking for. When you use your core values on dating apps, text messages, and at social events, you will easily connect with your true match partner without chasing, settling, or wasting time with non-committal men. I have taught exactly how to do this in the 2-hour Core Values Dating Blueprint course available on my website, shadecurry.com/dating. That's SADECURRY.com/dating. You will learn exactly how to identify your core values and use them on your dating profile, how to ask the right questions via text, and how to tell the right stories on dates so that you attract the right people and repel those who aren't right for you. If you're ready to meet your true match, hop over to shadecurry.com/dating or click the link in the show notes. Now back to the episode. This is actually a really interesting one. I'm going to give one more example. People will reach out to me on social media or through the podcast or whatever, and they'll be like, oh, well, you said we should schedule a consultation call, but I don't want to waste your time. And I'm like, honey, you couldn't waste my time if you tried. Ask the people in my life. If I do not want to do something, I'm probably not going to do it. If there is a spot open on my calendar for a consultation call, it means that I have decided that I want to use that time to talk to my audience, to talk to my podcast listeners, to talk to potential clients who want to ask questions about working with me, right? So my time is there. On the days where I don't want a consultation call, if you go to my calendar, you will see them blocked out. Like there's no space on some days there. But what happens when people, podcast listeners or potential clients, or you that are listening, that you've been thinking about scheduling a call with me, some of you have been thinking about, and I know this because they tell me, when they finally scheduled the call. I was thinking about scheduling a call for 6 months or a year, and I just didn't want to waste your time because I wasn't sure. And I'm like, you couldn't waste my time. You can come on the call, we can talk, and then you can decide if you want to work with me now, if you want to work with me later. But what happens is when they procrastinate, thinking they're saving my time, they waste their own time. Because I had the time open and they wanted to talk to me, but they didn't, and they put it off. So they wasted all the time between when they thought about it and the time that they finally did it because they were afraid of wasting my time. So you can't waste other people's time. If other people make their time available to you, it's because they want it. So if you go on an app and you go on a date with someone and you're not sure they're your person, but you're like, let me go and check, you're not wasting that guy's time. He has made that time available. And secondly, hello, how could it be a waste of his time to spend time with you? Sis, you are incredible. It could not be a waste of a man's time to have your presence for like an hour on a coffee date or a dinner date or an activity. That could never happen. Anyway, so that's one. If you keep thinking you don't want to waste other people's time, then we're going to deal with that today. All right, hang on. Let's get through my notes here. If you think dating apps are a waste of time and energy, or, matchmakers are a waste of time and energy, or whatever the dating activity is, coffee dates are a waste of time and energy, dinner dates are a waste of time and energy, whatever the thing is, I hear people say, I don't have time to waste with the people on the apps. When you think that the tools or the path or the things that were created to help you achieve your goal are a waste of time and energy, that cannot be helpful. Thinking that those things are a waste of time and energy, or thinking you don't have the time, will always lead you to look for more shortcuts. And looking for shortcuts is what causes, and I'm going to get deeper into this, is what causes us to make mistakes. It's kind of like when we are looking for shortcuts for anything. When your kids are looking for shortcuts to the dishes, they're trying to speed things up so they can hurry up and get the dishes done. They leave dirt on the dishes, right? And when you think you don't have time to create the life you want, to have the hobbies you want, to go to social events, to pick up a new sport, to pick up a new activity that would put you around people that you might date, when you think all those things, we're going to deal with that in this episode, because all of these thoughts create a certain set of emotions and a certain set of actions, a certain way of showing up in the world that doesn't help you achieve your goal. All right. What I want to do with this podcast is help you make dating like a normal part of life, not a thing that you're like having to like invest all this time and it's like heavy. You're investing your 24 hours every day. You get up in the morning, you shower, you brush your teeth, you talk to your kids, you go to work, you run your business, you talk to your friends. All of these are basic adulting things. Guess what? Dating is also a basic adulting thing, because humans have been coupling up or creating romantic and sexual relationships for as long as we've been here, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be here anymore. And so it makes sense to consider romantic relationships, whatever your definition of it is, as a basic adulting activity. Like, we all want our kids at the appropriate age to like think about, who they're going to date. We want them to go on a date or two. We want people to ask them out. We want them to ask people out because we know it's going to be important to their future. If they want a relationship in the future, they're going to need to know this. Well, here's the thing. If you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, ideally you would know this. And if you don't know how to do this, if it doesn't feel like a basic normal day activity that you can handle, it's not your fault, because society is not helpful in this area. It's just like money. They send us to school for, 18 years, 12 years, and don't teach us how to handle money, how to do our taxes, and they teach us all the things we don't need to know. And then they expect us to come out and like know how to do these things. Same thing with dating. Like, there should be middle school classes on this. There should be high school classes. There should be college classes on this. Like, mandatory, because that is what creates wellness in life. So my goal is to make dating a basic activity for you. This is like when I'm talking to my clients in the Dating After Divorce Academy, or I'm talking to them one-on-one, this is how we approach it. And it's different from the approach out there with most other dating coaches. And a lot of their approaches are great too. So I guess it really just depends on what you're looking for. But I don't like to treat dating and romantic relationships and marriage and partnerships as like a mystical fairy tale that makes everything better, because it isn't. There are no fairy tales, are not real. Relationships take work. They take work. And in order to have a successful one, it requires you to have discernment, like to be able to choose a good partner. The same way, if you were starting a business, you would choose good employees. If you were starting a business that was a partnership, you would choose a good partner. It requires paying attention to detail. It requires thinking. And guess what? The reason time is a problem in dating is because our brains don't like to think. Thinking is a cognitive load. Thinking is work. And our brains do not like work. And this is not, it doesn't mean we're lazy. Like, we're just created that way. The brain likes to create shortcuts. It likes to know what you're going to do when you're going to do it. It likes to know the outcome of everything so that it can stop thinking about it. So when you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth, right? Unless you are, I don't know, a 3-year-old, you have basically stopped thinking about brushing your teeth because you've done it so much now. Your brain has been able to create like a pathway where it can just go from A to B. It doesn't have to think about brushing your teeth anymore. And that makes it happy. So your brain doesn't like to learn new things. It doesn't like things that are unfamiliar. It doesn't like things that require effort. It doesn't like things that are tedious, that are painstaking, that you have to like focus on, because there's a cognitive load on it. And that cognitive load doesn't feel good. However, if you were like me and you were married for 20 years and you married, I don't know, the first or second person that you dated at a time when there were guys everywhere, you didn't have to think about it, then like you're doing something new, you're learning something new, and you're going to have to be willing to allow that cognitive load, at least at the beginning of the process. It gets better, I promise you. Talk to any of my clients who found their partner. They're like, oh yeah, I became an old hand at like, I just knew exactly what to do. I wasn't overthinking it, and I wasn't also not thinking enough about it. So we've evolved to like conserve calories, and your brain is going to resist the effort. And that's why it tells you it doesn't have time, because it is resisting the effort that it takes to date. That's all it's doing. So my goal here is to really help you see how that thinking could be sabotaging your dating journey, making it longer, making you have to invest more time and effort because you haven't overcome this. All right, let's talk about kind of like avoidance, because that's the other thing that comes up when your brain wants to avoid, when your brain doesn't enjoy the cognitive load around something, like when it feels like, okay, this activity is going to create a cognitive load and I don't want to experience that cognitive load, it is going to avoid it. And that's where procrastination comes in. That's why you want to schedule a consultation call with me. You want to join the Dating After Divorce Academy, and you haven't. It's because you're like, your brain is like, oh, that's going to require some work. I don't know if I have time for that work. I don't know if I want to do that work. And then you're just like, oh, I'll think about it tomorrow. And then tomorrow becomes a month, becomes 3 months, becomes 6 months, becomes a year, because your brain is avoiding the cognitive load. And I want you to hold on to that, because that is going to take away the shame. It's like all of the shame that we sometimes experience around not doing things that we want to do. When you realize that it's not because there's something wrong with you, it's not because you're lazy, it's because your brain just does these things. It's been doing this since you were a kid. If you think back, when you were a kid, you didn't want to do chores because of the cognitive load. When you were a teenager, you didn't want to do any of that stuff. In your 20s, plenty of things you didn't want to do. 30s, again, lots of things we didn't want to do. Lots of things we avoided or procrastinated. And so we start to think of ourselves as chronic procrastinators. But everyone is made that way. That's literally how your brain is designed, to procrastinate, to put effort off so that it doesn't have to experience that load. The people who get more done are the ones who have a greater tolerance for that load, or they've learned shortcuts, or they've learned how to work with their brain. And so they do that a lot better than others. Okay, so if you have a problem with time and dating, you might be doing some of the things I'm going to mention. You might be dating passively. I have to do a whole podcast episode on this because it is so sneaky, you don't even realize you're doing it. What happens is you're thinking about dating, you want a partner, but you're not actually actively, consciously, intentionally every day doing things that move you towards a partner. And then maybe every once in a while, a random man comes your way. You're at a gas station. A guy looks at you, makes eyes at you. You make eyes back. And then he asks for your number. You give him your number. There is no context. You didn't even get to. What's hilarious about this is I will talk to women and they'll be like, oh, that dating profile, his dating profile, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And then you will meet a random man. Random. You know nothing about this guy. But because he looks cute and he made eyes at you, you're like, yeah, take my number. Take me out. I do not like random dating. I like dating where you are in a process where your mind is engaged, your core values are engaged, your principles are engaged, your intentions are engaged, so that whether you meet the man at the gas station, or you meet the man on an app, or you meet the man at church, or you meet the man at a bar or at a party, your brain is engaged with the things you need to be thinking about when you meet a man. That's why I don't like passive dating at all, because if you're just waiting for someone to choose you, then you're at the mercy of the random people. It seems like it's saving you time, but it tends to create more heartbreak. It also makes you over-attached to people because now this one person has asked you out, right? And now you don't want to let him go. He seems to be your only hope. So if you're trying to save time by not intentionally dating because you don't want to put time into it, you will end up wasting more time with a lot more heartbreak. Another thing that self-sabotages you around time can be believing that time is running out. This is connected to the like your age, like time's running out. I got to hurry up and do this. I got to hurry up and get to the end goal of having a partner. And that you have a scarcity mindset, right? That you won't find love unless you hurry up and do it, if you don't lock down this person very quickly. And so because you are sort of like only focused on the end goal and getting that end goal in a very, very quick amount of time, you're not building authentic connection, and you will skip necessary steps. You'll skip the things you need to do and think about to truly get to know someone. You will skip asking questions. You will skip, situations and vetting that you need to do because you're trying to save time. And all of that pressure keeps you like sort of in this superficial dating mode. You rush to define the relationship. You rush to be like, I'm in this relationship, I'm with this person. And when you're rushing to get to that end, you ignore things that you really need. You ignore your core values. You ignore your boundaries. You ignore red flags. You fail to look for green flags, right? You push for the certainty. Like I have to get certain really, really, really quickly about this because I don't want to waste time, or I don't want to waste his time. I need to know now so I can let him go now. Well, okay, why? Why can't you take a few weeks to get to know him, or even a few months, right? Or for some of you, you will mold yourself to be what he wants so that you can hurry up and lock things down, right? So passive dating, right? Rushing to define the relationship. And it's interesting because they look different, but they come from the same source. The passive dating where you're not doing anything, and then the rush to lock a relationship down, all come from the same place. Another thing I notice with people who don't want to, quote unquote, waste their time is they vent a lot. They vent a lot because they are analyzing for shortcuts. The minute something looks interesting or weird or like, oh, then they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy did this. I can't believe this guy did that. I can't believe this guy did this. Oh, look at this. Look at the screenshot of this profile. It's like, oh my God, like you're wasting so much time venting about the guy who is not the one. Because you're upset that you had to process this guy. You're upset that you had to spend, I don't know, one day texting back and forth with this guy, and then he said something stupid, that you are now going to extend that experience by venting about him every day to all of your friends and everyone for the next 7 days. No, like you will invest the time, to process a person who will turn out to be weird. That's going to happen. I don't know anyone who hasn't encountered someone weird along the way when they were dating. But it is a waste of time to then extend the experience. Or what people also then do is they start filtering too rigidly. They're like, okay, I'm going to scrutinize the profile so that I can make sure that no weird person ever gets through into my text messages. Like, so that nobody that I don't like ever has a conversation with me. That is not even possible in life. Like, in life, you're going to have people you don't like. Not, even if you stay in your house 24/7, you're going to have religious people come knock at your door and say, hi, we want to talk to you about our religion. Like, that's not living. Adulting, being mature, is being able to be in your space, comfortable, go in and out, talk to people, recognize when a person isn't for you, and set appropriate boundaries. You don't have to overanalyze. So people will spend so much time analyzing the profiles, picking at every little thing, projecting, mental gymnastics, making assumptions, so that they can dismiss people early, so that only one person, only the perfect guy will ever come into their DMs, and then they don't have to waste time talking to anybody else. No, that's not how it works. You invest time talking to a lot of people. You invest time learning how to vet and evaluate people, and then you choose the person that is right for you. Like, that is just how life works. There's no perfection. You can't perfect your way or only have perfect conversations or go on only perfect first dates in order to find the perfect person, right? In order to find the person who is not necessarily perfect, but perfect for you, you're going to have to miss a lot along the way. And what you want to do is you want to make those misses very short. Once the person shows you who they are, you're like, oh, okay, I'm out. But you don't even not giving people the opportunity to show you who they are by not talking to them and not going on dates with them will not get you to the result. It will save you time, quote unquote, but it won't get you to the result. It just gives you more time to think about how you don't have a partner. All right. Finally, when you are obsessed with not wasting time, again, in quotes, you don't have fun. Like, you can't be playful around dating. You can't enjoy yourself. You can't create authentic connection. It is okay to go on a date just because you find a person interesting. Even if you're like, I'm actually not sure that this person is the person that I want, but they're interesting. They have this one interesting thing that I'd like to talk to them about, find out about, and I'd like to get out of the house this Friday night. It's actually okay to just do that. You're not wasting their time because they can ask you questions and find out if they're for you. And they might just want to have fun on a Friday night and go to a movie with someone as well. But if you're so bent on like not investing a single minute on someone who isn't your spouse, you can't have fun because, oh my God, now you have to have this very rigid process. You know, I hear people say to me, well, this person isn't worth my time. This isn't worth my time. Okay. I don't agree with that statement because you are in a process where every person you interact with teaches you something. And that doesn't mean you open up yourself to every creep or guy who looks like a serial killer on the apps. No. But even taking the time to be on the apps to look at those profiles and vet them is a learning process. It is worth your time to learn about human beings because you're dealing with these human beings at work. You know, these guys on the apps, you work with them, right? They're in your office. They go to your church. How many people met the narcissist they married at church? How many? Like, I used to be a moderator for a Christian divorced women's group. I'm talking years and years and years ago. And the stories in there, like, these women met their spouses in church. Some of them were pastors' wives, and these men were horrid. So, you're going to deal with these humans one way or another. It is worth your time to learn how to deal with them comfortably, where it doesn't take everything out of you to interact with the human beings that exist on this planet with you. You know, my daughter was home for the holiday break, and she is in the entertainment industry. So she's a screenwriter, and we were talking about people. There's people she's interacted with, people who've asked her out, all of those things. And there was one person she told me about, and I was like, oh, do you want to avoid that person? She's like, Mom, I'm going to be working in Hollywood. These are the people, right? Like, in order for her to be successful, she has to learn how to handle all types of people, especially people who are extreme divas in their career. It's just the way it is. It's the same for you. In order to be successful, you have to learn how to be comfortable dealing with different kinds of people, to come out of your comfort zone and not expect every interaction to be perfect. I want you to think about whether or not dating creates an internal conflict for you. Like, when you think about dating and you think about the time to invest in dating, do you have an internal conflict? Like, oh, I want to date, but that feeling, that internal conflict that you're experiencing is the thing that's keeping you from being successful, is the thing that's keeping you from getting out there and finding your person. And that is the work that I help my clients with, because that is the mindset part of it that keeps them from taking actions, or taking actions in a way that gets them the result. If you have that internal conflict because you want something, but you think you can't have it, you want it, but you think you won't get it, you want it, but you don't think you have time for it, you end up wasting time because you're not moving forward by learning how to resolve that. So the first step, if you have an internal conflict, is to say, how do I resolve this internal conflict? You can start by scheduling a consultation call with me. We can talk about it. You can work with me. But if you don't, what happens is your thoughts about time become a smokescreen for not getting out of your comfort zone. It's always like, I don't have time to date. I got to do this thing first. The kids have to leave home first. I got to work on my business first. And you might legitimately want to work on certain things first. But if you really have a legitimate priority over dating, you won't feel any internal conflict around it. You'll just be like, oh yeah, I decided to do this. I'm okay with where I'm at. And when I get there, I'll know. Because you're not like in that like sticky, you don't have that sticky feeling inside of you. The other thing to think about is, when you think about not wanting to waste your time, are you actually thinking about time, or are you avoiding effort and tedium and difficulty? Like, when you think about it on the inside, if someone took everything you had on your plate away. Like, they said, you know what, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to clean it, and I'm going to take the kids. I'm going to give you 6 hours of free time on a Saturday. And I want you to invest the time that you would have used to do that in your dating. Would you do it? Or was your brain just avoiding the effort of dating, the thinking, the learning, and moving towards things you figured would be easier? It's so much easier to clean my bathroom than to figure out this dating app thing. Like, it feels so much more fun to sit with the kids and watch TV than to get on a consultation call and have a coach tell me, hey, here's what you have to do, right? You want to check on that if your thoughts about time are just a smokescreen. The other thing to think about is the things you are avoiding now are still waiting for you. So if you procrastinate learning how to date, all of that practice is still waiting for you. So sometimes women would tell me, well, you know what, I'll work with you at this time. And, when this happens, because I want to be in a partnership. I'm just going to make these numbers up. No one has said this to me recently. I want to have a partner by the end of 2025. So maybe I'll work with you in September. And I'm like, okay, so here's the thing. Depending on where you are, you might need a lot of practice. You might need a lot of learning. You might need a lot of like habits that need to change. And so thinking that, oh, when you check the box, when you open the door, your partner walks right through the door to you is not realistic. There is a runway. Everyone's runway is a different length of time. Mine, when I look back at it, I didn't know this at the time, but my runway was basically about 18 months. So from the time I got on the apps and the time I met my husband was 18 months. So my runway to meeting my partner was 18 months. Now, my runway, I feel like, was nice and kind of short. One, because I was fairly confident. I had done a lot of healing work. I continued to do the healing work. Also, I didn't have a lot of like, I didn't feel overwhelmed by the apps. I didn't feel conflicted. I had really good boundaries. Like, I got a lot of practice in those, like the first 6 to 8 months, I got a ton of practice. I learned all my lessons. I learned all of my lessons then because I made a ton of mistakes, which I tell you guys about. So think about the runway that you have to meeting your partner and how procrastination is like pushing that runway further. When you think you don't have time to date now because you don't think you're going to meet your partner next week, you're also postponing the practice that you need to meet your partner, the improvements that you need to make, the learning, the data you need to gather, the self-discovery that's going to come up along the way. And finally, allowing yourself to think that you don't have time to date is also keeping you dating in your head. Like some of you are just dating in your heads. Like you spend more time thinking about dating, observing dating, following dating accounts, sharing dating memes. You spend more time doing all of those like pseudo dating activities than dating itself. That's how you know if your thoughts about time are real or not, because those things take time. So do an audit. Where is your time going? If you're actively dating, where is your dating time going? Is your dating time spent having conversations, meeting people, being on the apps in a confident way and going on dates and then evaluating? Or is it venting and complaining to your girlfriends? And I love our girlfriends. I had my own posse of girlfriends when I was dating. They weren't always helpful, but it was nice to have them. It was nice to have people around me in the same situation. So please, I'm not telling you to not have your girlfriends when you're dating. I'm just saying, know what activities are feeding your goal and what activities aren't. So some things that I have mentioned today, you want to know your why for dating. Are you actually dating or do you want to be doing something else? And if you're actually dating, then change your perspective on time to something you are going to invest in that goal. The same way we would invest time and money in building a business. We invest time and money in building a career. We invest time and money in parenting. We invest time and money in our health. Can you see how it goes? Creating a new relationship requires you to invest time. And if you choose to work with a coach, which I recommend, I have worked with many coaches, it has always moved me forward. It involves time and money. At the very least, it involves time. And it involves money if you use the dating apps, which why wouldn't you use the dating apps? They are the tools of 2025. Like, learn how to use them. Let's practice using them. Learn how to use them in a way that works because they do work, right? So some people will tell me, oh, I don't want to pay for the apps. And okay, I'm not going to rant about that today. But that's another way we trick ourselves we self-sabotage our dating, because when you don't pay for the app, then you can't even filter. So like, you're just like random. It's the randomness of it. Okay. Invest time, not just in meeting your partner, but in the growth that you are going to need in order to meet your partner. Don't just focus on the outcome. Like, oh, I just haven't met my partner yet. No, along the way, again, depending on your story, depending on your unique situation, you might have to improve your dating skills, your observation skills, your confidence skills. You might have to improve your ability to say no without feeling guilty. You might have to dig into some self-discovery. You might have to learn to create safety so that you don't have all these bad experiences. You might need to, delve deeper into understanding your own needs and what you need in a partner. Sometimes we keep dating the wrong people because we don't even know what we really need. You might have to practice your own authentic self-expression. If you were in a marriage where you couldn't express yourself authentically and you were being gaslit and, again, another story for another day, being authentic is going to be huge. I talk to clients a lot who, when they're dating, they're like, okay, what do I need to say? How do I need to do this? And I'm like, no, just go and say what is really on your mind in an appropriate way. Like, don't try to craft a story to please this person based on what you know of them, right? These are things that come up along the way. So understand that there will be an investment of time in your growth. And when that growth reaches sort of like its tipping point, that's when you meet your partner. That's generally what I've observed is once my clients do the work that we're doing and they get all of the little cobwebs and the self-sabotaging behaviors out of the way, then they meet multiple people that they actually like because those things are just not tripping them up anymore. Another analogy is really like when it comes to like working out or jogging or running, whatever you do to keep your health up, whatever kind of exercise you do. Imagine if you felt like it was a waste of time to learn proper form if you were lifting weights. Like, if you didn't take the time to at least learn the proper form and then you hurt yourself when lifting weights, now you've really wasted a ton of time and money. And now you might not even be able to do the activity anymore, right? Or, it's a waste of time for me to jog, because I'm not going for the Olympics. It's not about winning the prize. It's about your health. It's about being a mature person. It's about living a life that is vibrant, being on the path of fulfillment for yourself. And the prize is the cherry on the cake. So dating, like I said, is just another life skill. Life skills require time to practice. Sometimes they require money to learn. And think about what you need to learn in order to make this effective, right? Think about what you need to do to consciously and intentionally invest your time in dating the way you do in other areas of your life. Then think about whether or not you're telling yourself you're too busy to date. In truth, if you are too busy to date, if you are truly like objectively too busy to date, because there are some of us who are truly too busy to date. Like you look at your time, you look at your calendar, you look at the things that you are doing. Maybe you work on an oil rig. I don't know. But objectively, there is the possibility that I haven't met anyone who was truly too busy to date yet, but I'm not trying to say that that's not a thing. Like there are situations, I don't know if you're in medical school, but people date in medical school too. So what I'm trying to think of the people that I know who are like really busy, who cannot do a thing. I don't know. Maybe if you are president of the United States, you might be too busy to date. Like that would be a big deal or something like that. If you are one of those people who is objectively too busy to date, like there's just no time for you to spend with another human in a social setting, it is also probably true that you're too busy for a relationship. Like you don't have time to invest in a relationship, and you should probably not be considering being in one at this time, because relationships take time. When you are in a relationship, you're going to have to make time for date nights. You're going to have to make time to talk, to communicate, time to work things out, time to all the things. So one way I have helped my clients kind of shift that mentality is ask them, hey, if Prince Charming showed up on your doorstep, like, I mean, the real Prince Charming, your true Prince Charming, your version of that. If he showed up on your doorstep and moved in today, how much time would you spend with him? What would you spend that time doing? And where would you find the time? Like if you're actually too busy with your children to date, maybe you have a newborn or something. Objectively, then you probably wouldn't even have time if the person showed up today, and then you should probably not be dating at this time. But if you want a relationship, it means there is space in your mind and in your life for a partner. And so I would challenge you to rethink the belief that you are too busy to date, that you don't have time to date, that you don't have time to invest in evaluating people in a thoughtful way, and that you don't have time to invest in learning what you need to learn. So with that, if you are interested in dating, if you okay, there's probably some time available in my life, maybe, I want to invite you to schedule a consultation call with me. Like literally, let's talk about it. If we sit and talk for 30 minutes or an hour, and we truly see that there is no time for you to date on that call, I will be the first person. I turn people away all the time. I tell them, hey, I don't think this is good for you right now. Sometimes people come to me and their mental health is in a place where I'm like, I think dating might be challenging for you in these ways. And I'll show them. And it's not a personal attack. It's just like, hey, like, do you want to rethink this at this time? Maybe do these things first. So if truly you don't have time to date and we can see that, I can help you create a strategy for how to get to the place where you are able to date. And so that's the power of coaching. That's the power of mindset coaching, is that it works in every area. So book a consultation call with me. And if you do decide to work with me and you join the Dating After a Divorce Academy, what I do is I help you truly save time by showing you which activities do not help you when you're dating. There are plenty of things that you're doing that are making it longer, making it harder, making it more difficult, making it more overwhelming. And I help you get all of that out of the way so that you're actually having a better time and you are saving time while moving towards your goal, right? Because I have been through this and I have walked so many women through it, I can help you get out of the overwhelm that comes from making the decisions over and over and over again. Every time you go to the app, it's like, what do I do now? What do I do now? No, we have a process process, checklist, strategy. We put it all together so that you can do the same thing over and over and over again once we adjust it to fit what you're looking for, right? It's not a robotic thing. It's more like we craft it around you using your core values. You don't have to make those decisions over and over again. It's actually faster, right? Like what are the things that work for you? We put them together in a process and then you're able to do that over and over again. That reduces the cognitive load. Now you don't have to procrastinate anymore. You don't have to be afraid anymore because now you know exactly what you are doing. I'm going to wrap up with a case study of one of my clients, and she had been divorced for 12 years, and she had dated in between that, but she was kind of like the passive dater. So it was always like whoever chose her, whoever came around, and she would date that person, and they weren't right for her, right? But she wasn't taking action. She never went on the apps. She never initiated the journey to meeting her own partner. And she just didn't think that she could. She didn't think she was allowed to. She was like, well, I'm a woman. I'm just supposed to be here and wait until I get chosen. And so when she worked with me, like, it was just one of the best coaching experiences that I have had. She's such a lovely client. We got to the point where she could see how those patterns kept her from meeting someone. And once we did that, she was like, okay, I'm ready to take action. And I love her because she did all of the things. She was like, okay, I'm going to go on the apps. She went on the apps. I'm going to ask my friends to introduce me to people. So she told her friends, hey, if you know anyone, like, we went through that whole process of choosing the right people to ask for blind dates and asking them for blind dates. And then she also started going to events and meeting people in person. And what was so fun about this is when she did get like, oh, hey, I want to set you up with a blind date. I tell this story. She and her friend didn't know how to make it happen. Her friend was like, I know this guy, but how do I tell him? How do I get you into his world? And that's where I come in, because when you're actually moving through and you hit like a roadblock, I know exactly what you need to do to make that happen. And so what happened was I basically just helped them craft the words. I'm like, okay, for this guy, kind of guy, for you, say something like this. So her friend texted the guy the message. The guy was like, yes, I would love to meet your friend. And then she connected them in a group chat, and they have been together now 3 years. Like, that was it. But she did all of the things, and it was so easy. Once her mindset shifted out of, oh, I can't do this isn't for me, the time, all of those things, taking the action became so easy, and receiving the support and being able to put the support in action was easy because then she had a process. So I know this was a lot. I know time is complicated. Time is a big one, but I hope that like in here, you saw some of your own thoughts about time and ways it might be sabotaging your relationship and finding the partner that you want. I would love to support you in 2025 to meet your partner, to help you sweep away all these little cobwebs. Again, you are welcome to schedule a consultation call with me. My calendar is open and I am currently taking clients. So book a call. Let's see if this is a fit for you. If it is not a fit for you, I could make some recommendations. Like, there's some people who need like other work. And I belong to a huge coach community. So if you're looking for something else, I don't know, in life that isn't something that I can provide, I'm always happy to refer to some of my coach colleagues. All right, everyone. I know this was a long episode, but I hope it was useful. It's been on my mind for quite a while to really address these thoughts. I want to thank you for your time and attention. If you love the podcast, please leave a review. It helps more women who are dating after divorce find this work. Thank you again, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening today. If you are ready to get married after divorce, I want to invite you to download my free 8-video training specifically designed to help divorced women date with ease and get married again. Head over to sadecurry.com to get started. That's SADECURRY.com. I'll see you inside.